Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Bitcoin started, sort of neutral into the day. Yesterday we had a little bit of upside. That was not unexpected. It reached our target or resistance area for this wave 4. And we want to talk about the short-term bearish and short-term bullish wave counts for Bitcoin in this video. First of all, let's just remind ourselves that we are currently most likely still in a wave 2 and that we peaked in a wave 1 in April 23. And then, since then we've been coming down in this kind of overlapping price action to the downside within a descending price channel. Showed you a while ago these trend lines for the price channel, and so far Bitcoin is adhering to it. It is following it. You might even be able to, with the latest price action, be able to draw it like something like a descending wedge. But yeah, it's more or less a channel or wedge pattern. If it's a wedge, it's not contracting that much anyway. Okay, so the idea is currently in the short-term bearish wave count that we get one more low here. The idea is that this is a WXY structure. In the Y wave, we have an A, B, C, and we're now basically in this C wave, and we're getting one more wave up and one more wave down. And we are now in this sort of wave up. We're currently doing this fourth wave to the upside into the region between 25,781 and 26,100. However, as I said, because I see this wave C to the downside as an ending diagonal. So it's an ending diagonal, and in a diagonal pattern, the wave 4 and the wave 1 can overlap. So the wave 4 could also be fairly strong. However, I have put on this chart just the standard retracement area for the fourth wave. In diagonal patterns, the wave 4 doesn't necessarily adhere to the standard fibs. It still reacts to fib levels, but it might not stop at the 50% retracement. Normally in an impulse, I would say that the 50% retracement is sort of the maximum for a wave 4 retracement, or well, for a wave 3 retracement, which would be then the depth of the wave 4. But in a diagonal, it can easily go a little higher. So we just need to be ready for that. Therefore, we drive on sight. And my best reading of this chart is that this wave 4, whatever it is, if it is wave 4, we're also going to take a look at the more bullish wave count, short-term bullish count, that this is still unfolding to the upside, because the pullback, or what you see here, this consolidation just below resistance, would currently suggest that it still is unfolding, that this wave 4, this move to the upside is still unfolding and could push a little higher with resistance at 25,780. We reacted to it already yesterday, got rejected a little bit. Then 26,100 and 26,440. An impulse above 26,440 and a 3-wave pullback, which follows afterwards, making a higher low, would make me assume that an overall low has formed here on the Bitcoin chart and that Bitcoin is rallying in a third wave to 30K plus. That's the short-term bearish count, because at the moment here in this wave count, the assumption is that one more low could occur into the region between 24 and 24.5K. Now let's also take a look at the short-term bullish count. In this particular wave count, I just count the move that came down off the April high in a slightly different way, still as a correction, still as an ending diagonal, just a different type of diagonal. I'm counting as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Could be complete already. We have enough waves down in this last wave, in this C wave of wave 5, and it could now be unfolding to the upside. That would be the short-term bullish count, and therefore I am happy if Bitcoin breaks through the resistance level mentioned that we're currently doing here, an impulse to the upside, that we could have bottomed already in the short-term bullish count. We could argue that Bitcoin is currently evolving or developing a small impulse. So a wave 1, a wave 2, a wave 3. This could be a wave 4 triangle, and then one more wave up. If we do that, and at the same time it would be ideal to break above 26,440, which it might not do. So nevertheless, it would be a first impulse. Then we can be watching for an ABC structure to the downside. Okay, and if it's holding a higher low, that would increase chances that Bitcoin is bottomed here already. But then I would still like to see a break above resistance at 26,440. That is the short-term bullish count. Certainly allows for Bitcoin's low to have established already. I won't believe it until we break above resistance and see a first impulse to the upside, a first correction to the downside. It's always the same process we need to follow. It's of a low, a 5-wave move up, ideally above resistance, a 3-wave move down, which we then call a 1-2 setup, and then a break above the first 5 waves up, basically above the wave 1 high. And then we have a confirmation, as good as you can get it really, that the price has bottomed. Now it's never certainty, a confirmation is never certainty. Just be aware that in these markets really anything can happen, and that this would be a very, very early sign that things are changing. Be aware that trend shifts, trend changes are the most difficult aspects or areas or situations in a chart to trade and also to analyze, because a possible trend change is still very, very fragile. Things can still easily break down. And obviously what we're just doing here is it's currently trying to do a bit of a trend change, but it's way too early to confirm that, obviously. The trend of a short-term downtrend back into a short-term uptrend. And again, this is very fragile. We're also still in this, I showed it to you on the other chart, in this descending wedge. It's not very well defined here on this chart, but if I adjust it slightly, still in this channel or wedge pattern. I mean, a break out of the channel to the upside would have even, let's say, more bullish implications. And just be aware that on the daily RSI, there is still space to the downside. So let's take a look at the daily. Take a look at the RSI, the relative strength index. And it's hovering in the bearish range, okay? And it hasn't produced a bullish crossover. And it's not oversold yet. I still would like to see the daily RSI close to where it was on the 10th of March. It may not get there. We know about the ETH BTC chart. We know that Bitcoin is currently outperforming Ethereum. We know that many altcoins and also Ethereum already are oversold on the daily. So maybe Bitcoin isn't going to do it. Maybe Bitcoin is holding a little stronger. Maybe the daily RSI isn't going to come down that low. So it's all about watching these two scenarios, watching the levels, watching for structure. If structure can establish a first 5-wave impulse to the upside, until it can do that with a subsequent 3-wave pullback afterwards, I'm still expecting another low. Yeah, that's my update about Bitcoin. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also, make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter. You can find the links in the description. There's additional updates every day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.